Folks, this is where we step beyond the surface, beyond the headlines, and into the field of the unknown. A place where forgotten creatures, lost history, and unanswered questions still breathe. This is the Ropen Network, and tonight we begin. This is the Ropen Network, and I'm your host, Jason McLean. I'm a biblical paranormal researcher, and I'm guest hosting for the illustrious Jacob Esguerra. Tonight, we're stepping into a question that has lingered quietly, deep in the forests of Indonesia. A creature once declared gone, written off, filed away as extinct. But what if that story isn't finished? What if something is still out there? The Javan tiger, Panthera tigris somnatica, was once one of the most elusive big cats on Earth. Native to the island of Java and in Indonesia, this tiger was smaller than its mainland relatives, but no less powerful. It thrived in dense tropical forests, moving silently through terrain that humans themselves struggled to navigate. But by the mid-20th century, everything changed. As human populations expanded, forests were cleared for agriculture, habitat shrank, prey disappeared, and the tiger was pushed closer and closer to the edge. That last widely accepted sighting of the Javan tiger was in the 1970s, and by 2008, it was officially declared extinct, gone. Or so we're told. Because here's where things begin to get interesting. Over the years, there have been persistent reports, quiet, scattered, often dismissed, of large striped cats still roaming remote parts of Java. Local villagers have claimed sightings, hunters have reported tracks, and in some cases, there have even been alleged photographs, though none have been confirmed beyond a doubt. In 2017, a photograph surfaced showing what appeared to be a large feline in a forested area of West Java. The image sparked renewed discussion. Was it a leopard, a trick of light, or something else? Indonesia is already home to the critically endangered Javan leopard, so misidentification is possible. But some researchers and locals insist what they've seen doesn't quite match. And this raises a bigger question. How certain are we when we declare something extinct? History has shown us that animals thought to be gone sometimes aren't. This coelacanth, a fish believed extinct for over 60 million years, was found alive in 1938. The ivory-billed woodpecker, long considered extinct, continues to spark debate even today. So could the Javan tiger be another example of a hidden survivor? Or are we seeing what we want to see in the shadows of the forest? From a scientific standpoint, there's currently no verified physical evidence that the Javan tiger still exists today. No confirmed DNA, no captured specimen, no clear reportable documentation. But from a human standpoint, from eyewitness accounts, the story isn't so easily closed. And that tension between what is officially known and what may still be unknown is exactly where this conversation lives. So we're left with a mystery. Not proven, not confirmed, but not entirely silenced either. And maybe that's the point, because sometimes the unknown doesn't disappear, it just waits in places where we're no longer looking. Folks, tonight this is just the beginning, because if creatures like this may still be out there, then what else have we gotten wrong? Let's keep going. We move from what may be still out there to something that is being claimed right now in our time. a possible discovery, a new interpretation, and perhaps a new understanding of a very familiar animal. In parts of India where elephants have lived for thousands of years, there are ongoing observations, ongoing studies, and in some cases, new perspectives on what we thought we already knew. One name that has begun to surface in these discussions is Dijo Thomas, a researcher, a man deeply involved in the study of wild elephants. According to his work, there may be something distinct, something different within the elephant populations of India, something he refers to as the Caravan elephant. Now, this is not at this time a widely established classification within the global scientific community, but it is a claim and a perspective and a line of research that is being put forward. And throughout history, many ideas began exactly this way, with observation, with conviction, and with some willing to say there may be more here than we realize. The question then becomes, what exactly is being seen? Are these differences, variations within an existing species, or could they point to something not yet fully recognized? At this stage, the answers are still developing, and rather than jumping to conclusions, we believe it's important to go directly to the source, to hear the perspective from the individual making these observations. So, tonight, we're not here to dismiss and we're not here to blindly accept either. We're here to listen, to explore, and to ask questions. Now, before we bring him in, a quick note for our listeners. Due to location and connection, we had to sort of, we're having to change up the format. Instead of a direct conversation, we had to send him our questions, and he was kind enough to write them back. So it's a little different, but we hope that you can follow along and enjoy the show. Please stay with us. And now we step into this conversation and explore the possibility of something new. This is Dijo Thomas on the Ropen Network. Dijo, on behalf of Jacob Guerrera, thank you for your willingness to be seen and heard. Could you introduce yourself a little bit to us? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Hi, Jason, and thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It is great talking to you and Jake. Um, as you know, I am into wildlife research. I'm a scientist and a conservation biologist. I have also uh, discovered many rare species first time in the world. And one of them is a Nilagiri Kadua or Nilagiri tiger, which is as big as tiger, a prehistoric animal still roaming in South Indian forest. Then the second main discovery is Indian chupacabra. It is called Recta Adhika. It is the Indian chupacabra. That is my second main discovery. But before all these discoveries, while I was in my high school dates itself, it may be, you won't believe it, I had actually discovered an wild elephant species, a elephant species. Actually, my native place is Kerala in South India. And Kerala is a place with lots of forest and greenery. It's a very beautiful place. And here we have 44 rivers flowing through the length and breadth of Kerala, big rivers, and thousands of small rivers. And the Kerala is very famous for its elephants. We have 3,000 wild elephants in the forest. It varies, the number varies, but more than 1,000 domestic elephants. And Kerala people love elephants very much. Kings and their dynasties used the wild elephants for war as well as ceremonial purposes. So I think Kerala has the highest concentration and number of domestic elephants anywhere in the world. So and I was as from my very young age itself, as I loved wildlife, animals like that. Elephants was one of my favorite. And during my childhood,
Hmm.
I used to observe elephants, and the mahout sometimes used to bring these elephants to my house to give them fodder. Like we have palm trees, they would
Hmm.
cut the
Yeah.
palm leaves for these domesticated elephants. And I used to observe this elephant from close quarters and study its features and all the things.
Hmm.
Maybe I have this scientific research aptitude even in my younger days. So it
Hmm.
happened that during my high school days, we went for a tour of South India, and we visited some very big
Hmm.
temples, which has very excellent architecture. During my high school days, we went for a picnic and to the neighboring to a neighboring state, which is Tamil Nadu. And when we went to Madura temple, that is a huge temple complex running the temple itself and its compound may run into many acres of land. And it's very beautiful temple.
Okay.
And tourists
Hmm.
from all around the world visit this temple. That moment, I was 100% sure that this is another species of elephant and not the species of elephant which I was observing in my native state, Kerala. I was shocked that this elephant, which I was seeing in the Madura Meenakshi temple in Tamil Nadu, was an entirely different species because this elephant was much smaller in size. It looked like a doll to me, like an huge elephant doll, around 6 to 7.5 feet only.
Sorry, you broke up there for just a moment. So just to recount, so you traveled to this, to this tourist, to this temple that's very popular with tourists, and the elephants that you saw there were several feet shorter than the average domesticated elephant that was there. Is that correct?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. It was shorter, and another
Okay.
thing is that the
Um,
shape of the body was different.
mhm.
Yeah,
What differences did you notice?
the shape of the body was more squarish, and the
Hmm.
body was stout, but the legs were much shorter. That was a female elephant, but uh,
Hmm.
I was 100% sure that this is not the regular elephants that I see in Kerala. I will describe this elephant once
Hmm.
I come to my experience in the wild about these elephants.
Okay.
This elephant, the body was more squarish, and for a regular Indian
Okay.
or Asian elephant, the body would be
Hmm.
more rounded.
Hmm.
Difficult to describe it, but I will send you the photos of these elephants in the wild. Observed it for maybe 15-20 minutes. This
Hmm.
elephant is more of a pygmy type of elephant. The face also was
Hmm.
different. So this struck me in my mind,
Okay.
and for many years while I was in school and college, I used to remember this elephant. This never went off from my mind. And the
Hmm.
problem I faced was that I didn't know any wildlife expert at that time to discuss it. So that was a problem which I faced. When I was seeing this elephant,
Hmm.
I would never dream that many years later, I would be the one to discover
Hmm.
this elephant. The elephants I see in Kerala had any. I am finding any. Was there any similar elephant? I used to check, and this
Hmm.
elephant was nowhere to be seen. So I had only one specimen, one elephant which I saw, and
Right.
after that, I never came across this sort of elephant. Occasionally, I used to go to forest to see elephants and other wildlife. Maybe 3 hours by bike. there is a deep forest called Shabarimala forest. And then we used to roam the forest in the motorbike, which is a very extremely dangerous thing to do because elephants can attack anytime, especially in night.
So you do this at night. So you traveled to this forest at night. Again, the danger being that since it's nighttime, and elephants have a degree of activity at active at night as well for a little bit. Then they may see you as a danger. They may see you as a threat and attack you.
Yeah, actually that danger was there, but adventure was always in my blood. So taking a risk was taking a risk was also at the same time it is a risk, but I enjoyed that. This forest, it has a temple deep inside the forest, and there is no population inside the forest, but a temple is there called a Shabarimala temple. Only 2 months the season would be there for that temple. All other time the temple would be closed, but the road would not be closed. So we can go inside the forest at night time. So that's the reason why we choose this forest and we went nighttime. And sometimes we came across the elephants by the roadside. It is a dense forest, a very ecologically rich forest with a lot of biodiversity. Occasionally, we used to meet the elephants by the roadside. I didn't find that rare species of elephant anywhere. Later, in 2010, because of my huge interest in forest and wildlife, I started roaming this forest day and night, searching for wild elephants.
The last thing we heard is you were mentioning something about a lion population.
Yeah. During the British time, the hunting was very rampant, became almost extinct to less than 100 population. Junagadh in Gujarat state, he understood that this is a very wrong thing. So he created a sanctuary for lions and banned hunting in his kingdom. And now the population of lions is somewhere between 500 to 700 in India. It is gradually increasing.
At this time, loyal listeners, we have to take our first break. There's still more to discuss specifically regarding the world of cryptids, and you are listening to the Ropen Network. Please stay tuned.
Apocalypse is a car brand that you may not have ever heard of, but these are some of the craziest trucks I have ever seen. This is a company based out of Florida, takes in modified trucks, and this one has a TRX underneath here. It has 6 wheels now, absolutely insane. They're meant to be future-proof and forever trucks, and honestly, it's the first one I've ever seen, making it a pretty cool find.
Your exclusive home for cryptozoological talk, the RRN, Salem, Oregon. Let's seek the truth.
Hi, I'm Crystal Jordan of the Ropen Radio Network. The RRN is a proud sponsor of the Wildlife Safari, which began as the vision and dream of one man, Frank Hart. It was Hart's goal to create a facility in the Pacific Northwest that would work to save rare and endangered species from all around the world. Wildlife Safari boasts one of the top cheetah breeding research centers on Earth. It is the #1 cheetah breeding facility outside of Africa and #2 on the planet. Take a trip past the incredibly inspiring African elephants. Dare yourself to end your journey with a trip through a carnivore loop featuring Wildlife Safari's top cheetah breeding grounds and ferocious Sumatran tigers. So the next time you plan your vacation, be sure to stop at the Wildlife Safari located in beautiful Southern Oregon. You are closer to Africa than you think.
Makes us want to head job there.
Welcome back, loyal listeners. This is the Ropen Network, Salem, Oregon's first cryptozoological radio network. I'm your host, Jason McLean, filling in for Jacob Esguerra. Dijo, what would you say to those who believe this may be a variation rather than a new species?
Actually, we have now enough evidences, and the scientific articles which I have written till now, which is about 7, is more than enough to scientifically prove that Kuravan elephants are a new species. But I have said that I will write about 35 plus scientific articles on Kuravan elephants that I will be publishing one by one. But as of now itself, Kuravan elephants have been scientifically proved without any grain of doubt. On the question whether DNA tests are required to scientifically prove it, no, DNA tests are not required. As of now itself, Kuravan elephants have stand scientifically proven. The only thing is that the biologists and conventional researchers and so-called scientists need to change their mindset, how they view new developments in science like F3B NSPM method to prove a new species without DNA test. So the mindset change of the present day biologists and researchers is extremely important.
What kind of evidence do you believe is still needed to fully support your findings?
That is the thing, that is the point, and not that Kuravan elephants are not scientifically proven. So there are many academics and scientists who are accepted my discoveries, but there are a few who though they don't directly come to challenge me, they hide away from my discoveries. So the thing is that being conventional and clinging to conventional things is a sign of less intelligence, and the sign of intelligence is when a biologist or an academic or a researcher is ready to accept a new development, a new theory, a new methodology like that. For example, if all the scientists at that time during Einstein, if they were to say that they will not accept a new theory or a new method in science, then Einstein's discoveries would have gone unaccepted. It would have been discarded by now. The thing is that
if your findings are confirmed, what would this mean for our understanding of elephants?
Discovering a new species is extremely important from the point of view of science, because as of now there are only 3 species of wild elephants: African savanna elephant, African forest elephant, and Asiatic elephants, and there are 4 subspecies among Asian elephants, and this would be the 4th species among elephants in the whole world. If you have only 3 species and another one is being discovered, that is extremely important from the point of view of science, and this would trigger a chain of reaction in research, conservation, future planning of sustaining this breed of elephants. And another important aspect would be, as this herd of Kuravan elephants exists along with Asian elephants wherever it was discovered, so that also creates a important opportunity as well as challenge in maintaining the species peculiarity of Kuravan elephants and then conserving it. Meaning, as of now itself, there are interactions, I am sure, and also a few interbreeding between these two species, but not much. And I can assure you that Kuravan elephants, which I have released photographic evidences, Kuravan elephants exist as a herd, meaning they maintain herd mentality, herd and herd behavior, which is itself is a further evidence that Kuravan elephants are a new species. So, from the scientific point of view, the discovery of Kuravan elephants is extremely important.
Are there plans for further testing, such as genetic analysis?
Actually, that is not necessary for my method. But if anyone wants to do genetic analysis, then that is welcome. I don't have a problem. Only thing is that they should be genuine. They should not conduct any fraud, as in the case of American chupacabra. Now the academic circle is very jealous of me, very envious, and you can see many of them has accepted my findings, but are not coming openly to support me. So that is a clear indication. If they do a genetic analysis, that is well and okay with me. But as I said, it should be totally genuine. And anyway, that is not important because Kuravan elephants has been scientifically already proven. As I said earlier, only the mindset of the academics and biologists and scientists should change. That is the only thing. Now, coming to the second part of the question on whether further field research is necessary. Yes, field research is necessary, and documenting the elephants in their natural habitat, their food habit, how they interact as a group, all this should be documented as videos. The only thing which prevents me from going for that in an elaborate way is the lack of funds. So once an international support comes to me, I can easily do that. Not only that, researchers from abroad can also come and participate along with me in the research. I will be only too happy to accommodate genuine and capable researchers from the international biologists, from good scientists who are genuine. So I don't have a problem with that, and not only that, I welcome that. So once the funds comes in, the elaborate field research plus documentation would be done. That is a very important aspect which I plan to implement in the near future.
Sir, what is the possibility that this group of elephants you are studying may actually represent perhaps a man-bred species that has simply gone feral, perhaps something that was bred in deep antiquity for purposes that were abandoned, sort of like modern pigeons?
No, absolutely not. There is not even a slightest possibility that Kuravan elephants were bred by humans and later released into the wild. No, that is not at all possible with wild elephants. Dog is a small animal. It is possible to breed dogs, cows like that. They are already domesticated. They are less complicated animals, so that is possible. But even then, only for dogs they have been bred into new varieties through centuries, not 1 or 2 days. But that is totally impossible for elephants. I can guarantee you on that.
How should people approach discoveries like this, especially when they're being studied?
This is a very important question on how the scientific community as well as the general public should approach a new discovery while the discovery process and the preliminary research and findings is being progressing. This is a very important question. And also for a scientifically proven species like Kuravan elephants, it is very important to note that the scientific community as well as the general public should approach with an open mind. That is very important. The open-mindedness of the scientific community is very important for a new discovery. And also you have also to factor in that there could be a heavy dose of jealousy also involved when a new discovery comes in, because all scientists want to discover something. All researchers want to discover something new, and very few of them are successful in doing that. So therefore there is a many times I have a direct experience, and sorry to say that many times the academics, the researchers and so-called scientists are exhibiting a heavy dose of jealousy and narrow-mindedness, and also they are not open-minded when they approach a new discovery. So this mindset again should change.
What challenges have you faced so far in researching and presenting your findings?
The challenges I face are multifold because I don't work in a university. I do independent research. So generally speaking, the academics, the other researchers in universities and other well-known institutions have always a problem in accepting a researcher from outside, meaning who doesn't work in a university or a well-known institution, because the actual fact is that when we are not able to discover anything new, how come an independent researcher is able to do that? So this thought nags them a lot. Sorry to say that, but frankly speaking, it is so, because I have direct experience. The main challenge that I experience is regarding finance, because till now I have not got any financial support from any government institution or NGO. There is a big behind the scene conspiracy against me by some people in the academic circles and other related field against supporting my research, because as I told earlier, the main reason is the jealousy. But I have a request to the international community, well-wishers, other researchers, the scientific community, then the industry, then NGOs and philanthropologists who support research like this, maybe some well-known actors who have enough funds for that. See, the work that I do is really genuine, and my discoveries are very important, and many of them will come in the top 25 important species in the world, and some others will come in the top 50 important species present in the world now. So supporting such a research is very important from the view of conservation and the scientific research. For example, there is no meaning in spending millions of dollars for a relatively less threatened species like wolves and all, when you ignore an extremely important big cat, a prehistoric animal like Nilgiri tiger, or another extremely important kangaroo related species, chupacabra. So that is not logical and that is not truthful also. So thank you again for asking this question. The scientific community as well as the industrialists, NGOs, all should come forward and support financially a research at the important researches that I do.
Dijo, where can people follow your work and learn more about what you're doing?
You can find my research in various blogs of mine, websites, and also in my Facebook accounts. A small problem that we face in finding the relevant articles is that it is spread all across my platforms, different platforms. Also, you can see in YouTube a lot of research videos, eyewitness accounts, etc. in my YouTube, news reports, but it is spread all over the place. This is mainly a constraint which I faces due to the lack of funding. I work independently as a single lone fighter. I don't have any assistance even. I don't have an office to work in. So arranging all this methodologically is not possible at this point of time. But once the funding comes in, I am sure I would be able to do that in a way which would benefit even more for the scientific community. Also for young researchers, they can learn a lot from my methodology, my discoveries, things like that. And when the conservation comes, that is also would be helpful. And my main website is dijothomas.com, DIJO Thomas.com, dijothomas.com. My main research website is scientistdiscovery.com, scientistdiscovery.com as a single word. A lot of scientific articles you can find in my blogs. Main blog is dijothomasscientist.blogspot.com, dijothomasscientist.blogspot.com. Another one, dijothomasofficial.blogspot.com, dijothomas.wordpress.com, then dijothomas.in. These are my main websites.
All right. It looks like we've lost signal there. That's all right. We'd like to thank him for taking the time to join us and share his research and insights. It's certainly a fascinating discovery and one that could have meaningful implications for our understanding of elephants. We wish him all the best moving forward, and we'll be keeping a close eye on his work. And for those of you who'd like to learn more, you can find his links in the description of this video and on our social media. Folks, we're going to take our second break. Next, let's talk mammoths. The first woolly mammoth could be brought back from extinction via colossal bioscience within the next 10 years. Also, what kind of sightings have there been concerning the mammoth? You are listening to Cryptozoological Talk on the Ropen Network. Stay tuned.
your exclusive home for cryptozoological talk, the RRN, Salem, Oregon. Let's seek the truth.
Remember me. I am the one that held the line. When the nation called, I answered. In order to serve, I left behind the family, friends, and freedom that so many take for granted. I stayed up late and woke up early and trained in the mud and the rain and the misery. I became stronger, I became tougher, I became better. Some things about war evolved and changed with the times, but remember that it was always me, the warrior. As technology advanced, I used night vision goggles and global positioning systems and drones and lasers and thermal optics. But it was still me, the warrior, that did the work. It was me that patrolled up the mountains or across the desert or through the streets. It was me that suffered in the heat and the cold. It was me that went out night after night to confront our nation's enemies and confront evil face to face. It was me. But also remember, I was not just a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. I was a son, a brother, a father, a daughter, a sister, a mother. I was a person like you. I, the soldier, sailor, airman, Marine. I, the American fighting man. I stood my ground and sacrificed my life, my future, my hopes, my dreams. I sacrificed them all for you. Don't waste it. Live a life that honors the sacrifice of our fallen heroes, so you can truly appreciate the incredible treasures you have. Never forget where it all came from. It came from sacrifice, the supreme sacrifice. Remember them. Always.
The Ropen Network acknowledges the brave men and women who served or are still serving in the U.S. military. 511 Tactical. Always be ready. Hi, I'm Jacob Guerra, lead investigator and radio host for the Ropen Network. Dinosaurs represent a force in our world, inasmuch as so many young and old people alike are curious and deeply interested in knowing more about these creatures. How preserved are they? Are they simply desiccated, or have they degraded into unrecognizable former proteins? Are bone soft cells the only kind of dinosaur cells that exist? Can the cells be cultured, brought back to vitality and growth? Are dinosaur cells found around the globe? Are they really millions of years old? Or are they young, every one of them? These and many other questions might be answered as we progress in our endeavor to locate and characterize dinosaur soft tissue from around the Earth. If you would like to learn more, be sure to check out Dinosaur Soft Tissue Research Institute, dstri.org. Receive a free book and stay up to date with articles and events. The Ropen Network would like to acknowledge the amazing research provided by Dr. Mark Armitage and his soft tissue discovery. Go to Dinosaur Soft Tissue Research Institute.org today.
final segment tonight, and this one takes us into the frozen past. The woolly mammoth, a massive land animal covered in thick hair, armed with long, curved tusks, and built to survive in some of the harshest environments on Earth. But the real question is this: is the story of the mammoth truly over? I have a couple of snippets that I want to play for you, and then we will tackle the rest of the information that the Ropen Network has collected.
But we change nature every day, right? And so we are constantly changing nature. I mean, I took a lot of supplements today. I changed my nature this morning. And so we eradicated the thylacine in 1936. Like, we eradicated that species. There's tons of research papers that show that we started the cascading effect that led to the mammoth extinction. We eradicated the dodos, right? And so this is an opportunity to bring back these keystone species that also not just have ecological benefits for their return, but have cultural benefits back to the people that care so much about these. Like, when I sat down with Aboriginal leaders in Tasmania, not here in obviously in the U.S., but in Tasmania, the thylacine is part of their creation story.
Meanwhile to that, we're doing all the reproductive side. So when the moment we have our edited mammoth cells, we'll pull the nucleus out of that and we'll put it into the egg of an Asian elephant. That Asian elephant egg then is fertilized and becomes a woolly mammoth embryo. And then from there you use artificial reproduction, not too dissimilar to things like IVF and artificial insemination. Those are the basic tools that we start, and then we go to somatic cell nuclear transfer, which is cloning. And we clone that embryo and transfer it into an Asian elephant, or when we really want to get to the real sci-fi stuff that we're doing, an artificial womb. So we're building technologies to develop artificial wombs for these species as well. Because if you're ever going to scale a population, you'll always be most limited by how many females are in that population. So if we wanted to make 500 northern white rhinos, we would need 500 southern white rhino females. But if we had artificial wombs, the sky's the limit.
At Harvard's Weiss Institute, Dr. George Church's team has already edited dozens of mammoth genes into living elephant cells. Their goal? To create a hybrid that isn't a perfect mammoth, but a modern version built for cold, a mammophant. If successful, the world could see the first calf born within the next decade.
At Colossal Biosciences in Dallas, the mission is clear. Pair cutting-edge science with high-tech tools to reach a goal of prehistoric proportions.
We're less than 5 years away from seeing mammoths back on the planet.
Not if it's going to happen, when it's going to happen.
It is simply a function of time. So two really interesting.
Which is why co-founder and CEO Ben Lamb says now's the time to embrace the term de-extinction, the process of creating an extinct species, or at least an animal that resembles one. In Colossal's case, the woolly mammoth, which died off roughly 4,000 years ago. The company announced a major breakthrough, how to essentially reprogram the cells of elephants, allowing Colossal to then recreate their modern-day version of a mammoth. You'd be forgiven if all this sounds like...
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
We've heard the Jurassic Park comparison once or twice, right? Now, we're not taking, dino DNA and putting in frog DNA. We're not taking mammoth DNA and putting in elephant DNA. We're actually doing it in exactly reverse.
Asian elephant DNA, to be exact, because according to Colossal, it's the closest living relative to its prehistoric predecessor, a 99.6% match.
The return of the woolly mammoth essentially starts here.
Yes, absolutely.
We joined Dr. Ariona Hisoli, lead researcher on the Woolly Mammoth Project.
So we're looking at essentially an Asian elephant in cellular form.
That's actually correct, yes.
Colossal says this process will allow them to not only bring back other extinct animals, but also save animals on the brink of extinction, and even improve the environment by restoring the animals to old habitats.
Even though Colossal admits that this is a major breakthrough, the company does stress, don't expect to see any real-life woolly mammoths for at least the next few years. But in the science community, there are researchers who not only have questions here, but are concerned.
Number one, it's not really a mammoth. It's a mutated Asian elephant.
Dr. Vincent Lynch specializes in genetics and evolutionary biology at the University at Buffalo and stresses timing is everything.
To put them back now isn't to replace something that was once there, but it's to put an invasive species into an environment in which it's never been before.
Is there 1% in the back of your mind of where something could go wrong?
We're doing the best that we can to collaborate with all the top scientists, bioethicists, and conservationists around the world to ensure that it goes as right as possible. But there will always be some risk in any large moonshot for society.
A mammoth-sized moonshot. Coming soon. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Dallas.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Let's begin with what we can physically confirm, because this isn't just theory. This isn't just imagination. In places like Siberia, scientists and explorers have uncovered actual woolly mammoths preserved in ice. Not just bones, not just fragments, but entire bodies. One of the most well-known discoveries was a baby mammoth found in 2007, often referred to as Lubia. This young mammoth was so well preserved that its skin, its internal structure, and even contents within its body were still intact. Another discovery, a juvenile mammoth known as Yucca, revealed similar preservation: hair, tissue, form. These are not distant traces of the past. These are real physical remains and have studied in detail. And that alone raises an important question. If something can be preserved this well, what else might still be out there? Now, this isn't something that just began recently. Back in the late 1990s, there was a major effort to recover a woolly mammoth from the frozen ground of Siberia. Some of you may remember it as a project known as Raising the Mammoth. What they found was a massive frozen carcass locked inside layers of ice and earth, so well preserved that instead of removing it piece by piece, they cut out the entire section with the mammoth still inside. And then, in a moment that captured global attention, they lifted it by helicopter, transporting it to be studied under controlled conditions. For many, that was the moment it became real. Not just something from the past, but something tangible, something preserved, something recoverable. And while they didn't bring it back, what they uncovered helped lay the groundwork for the researchers we're seeing today. Now, from there, we move into something more uncertain: sightings. Reports coming out of remote regions, places like Siberia and even Alaska. Over the years, there have been eyewitness accounts of large, hair-covered, elephant-like creatures seen moving across distant landscapes. In one case, a video surfaced showing what appeared to be a large moving figure crossing a river in Siberia. The footage spread quickly, and some believed it showed something extraordinary. Others offered more familiar explanations. But it raised questions. And then there are the testimonies. Historical accounts, including reports from individuals who claim to have seen massive creatures in remote parts of Alaska. Descriptions of large, long features resembling trunks and large bodies and movement unlike known wildlife in those regions. Now, those accounts are not confirmed in the scientific case, but eyewitness testimony has always played a role in how we begin to notice that something may be worth investigating. Not as final proof, but as a starting point. So what do we have? No confirmed living mammoth, no verified specimen walking today, but a pattern of reports, a history of sightings, and physical discoveries that keep the conversation alive. And now we take one more step forward, because today we're no longer just asking if mammoths could still exist. We're asking something bigger. Could they return? This is where Colossal Biosciences enters the picture, a company based in Texas working toward what many are calling de-extinction. Their goal is to bring back a mammoth-like creature using preserved mammoth DNA, combined with modern elephant DNA. They are attempting to recreate traits: thick hair, cold resistance, fat storage, and the ability to survive in harsh climates. Not an exact replica, but something close. A living version of what once walked this earth. And according to their progress, they are moving forward, with projections that suggest we could see results within the coming years. But this raises a deeper question. Not just can this be done, but what does it mean if it is? Because now we are no longer just studying creation, we are attempting to step into it. And that brings us to where we've been all night: the unknown. creatures that may still be out there, to discoveries still being made, to the possibility of bringing something back that once walked the earth. The question is no longer simple. It's not just what do we know, but what are we willing to explore? And what happens when that discovery goes beyond observation and into action? That's something we'll continue to follow right here on the Ropen Network. I've been your host, Jason McLean. Seek the truth, and may God bless every one of you listening on the other side of this screen. Until next time, good night.
The RRN Ropen Radio Network is brought to you by 511 Tactical. Always be ready. By Creation Evidence Museum of Texas. God's Word in 6 days. And by the Wildlife Safari, America's top cheetah breeding program. You are closer to Africa than you think.